Breast cancer is a concern for every woman. The media focus is typically on detecting it early. But what can we do to prevent it? Or if you've already detected it, stop it in its tracks? This was the question on the minds of a group of researchers based in San Diego. Join us for this episode of Better Body Chemistry TV as we look at the dietary patterns that minimize the risk of breast cancer. Better Body Chemistry TV is brought to you by Dr. Sandy, a scientist turned gremlin buster, helping you battle sugar gremlins, heifer lumps, and other health horribles through better body chemistry. Remember, small things can make a big difference to your health. At first glance, eating healthy must be the answer. But despite being something that intuitively makes sense, it's actually quite hard to test this scientifically. The issue, although the stats on breast cancer are frightening, most women do not have the problem. This means to actually track whether something does or doesn't make a difference requires you to keep tabs on enormous numbers of women for a very long time. It can be done, but it's expensive and messy because so many other variables could be impacting the result. Our team decided to try a slightly different approach. Instead of tracking what happened in healthy ladies, they opted to look at what happened in ladies with breast cancer. This reduces the need to track gazillions of women. But it's still a little messy because breast cancer comes in different flavors, but it's far more doable. So the Women's Healthy Eating and Living Study was born. Ladies with a diagnosis of early stage invasive breast cancer from several clinics were invited to participate. Enrollment took place between the 1st of March 1995 and the 3rd of May 2007. The participants completed 24-hour dietary recalls at the start of the study, 1 year later, and 4 years later. Now, the questions asked extended beyond what the ladies were eating to include how much and when. Ultimately, the team had 25,325 dietary recalls from 2,413 ladies. The team then kept tabs on their overall health, both by accessing their medical records, death records, and active surveillance. They managed to keep tabs on these ladies, on average, for 11.4 years. So, what happened? Well, healthy eating, when it was defined as very high vegetables, fruit, and fiber, and low fat, made no difference to what happened. Case closed. So, is it a case of eat, drink, and be merry? Well, no. When they analyzed the data from the perspective of how much and when, a very interesting pattern emerged. Ladies who had longer night fasts were a lot better off. The sweet spot seemed to be fasting for at least 13 hours. Ladies who fasted for less than 13 hours were 36% more likely to have their breast cancer recur. And interestingly enough, this finding was not related to their BMI or levels of inflammation. So, what does this mean from a practical perspective? Well, if you eat dinner at 6 p.m. and eat breakfast at 7 a.m., this would give you a 13-hour night fast. This behavior would be protective. However, if you eat your dinner at 8 p.m. and then have breakfast at 8 a.m. the next day, your night fast would be 12 hours. This would be under the 13-hour window, marginally increasing the risk. The risk is also up if you enjoy late night dinners and then skip breakfast to have a mid-morning snack. Because when you finish dinner at 11 p.m. and have brunch at 10:30, this leaves you with a fasting window of 11 hours and 30 minutes. So what is the biological driver for all of this? Well, this study can only report the pattern. It was never designed to explain the why, but we do have hints. Ladies in the wheel study with longer fasting duration had lower hemoglobin A1C levels, which means that they had better sugar control. Since many tumors run on sugar, the improved sugar control might leave cancerous cells hungry and less capable of growing like crazy. The other thing that the longer night fasting did is it increased sleep duration. There's lots of data, both from animal and human studies, suggesting melatonin, your night valet, plays a pivotal role in fighting cancer. So the take-home message: watch when you eat. Eating food, whether it be healthy or not so healthy, is stressful. To create better body chemistry, you need to give your digestive tract time off. Interested in discovering more ways to create better body chemistry or need a little help getting your body chemistry on track? Visit our website, www.betterbodychemistry.com. Browse our library or enroll in one of our courses or programs. The advice is simple to follow and based on real science, not hype. Know someone who's worried about getting breast cancer or is a breast cancer survivor? Share this video with them so they know the one dietary strategy that has been scientifically demonstrated to be protective. And if you enjoyed the video, be sure to subscribe to our channel so you catch future episodes of Better Body Chemistry TV. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Remember, small things can make a big difference to your health. The risk is also up if you enjoy late night dinners, skip breakfast, and then have a mid-morning snack. Because if you finish dinner at 10:30 p.m. and then brunch at 11 a.m., your fasting window is 11 hours and 30 minutes. So what is the biological driver